Hey, Joe Zarzaur here with Dr. Malone to discuss a very important topic, and that's bicycle safety, specifically bicycle safety in the state of Florida. I think Florida, if I'm reading this last press release right, is the highest state in the country for bicycle accidents. Is that right, Dr. Malone?
Bicycle deaths.
Deaths, okay. And a lot of that obviously has to do with the fact that you can be outside on a bike in the weather in Florida more months out of the year than most of the states. We're followed by Texas and California, which are obviously also states where the weather allows for probably year-round type bike traffic. But it's also important to understand that those states like Florida are full of tourists, and tourists are not familiar with roads. They're always looking for things other than where they're going because they're not familiar with the surroundings, so they're easily distracted. On top of the fact that virtually every other car on the road has one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on their cell phone. So I don't know if you have the ability or opportunity to observe, but if you're ever a passenger and you're not doing anything else, you might want to just take an informal poll next time you're in traffic as to how many drivers have one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on their cell phone. It will scare you and amaze you at the same time. But that's obviously even more important when these drivers are coming in contact with cyclists who have very little protection, nothing really, besides their helmet, if they're wearing it, hopefully they are. And if a car that's 3,000 plus pounds hits a bike that's designed many times to be light, right, so that you don't have to carry a lot of weight when you ride a bike, it just crumbles, and then you've got a person riding the bike who has no protection around them at all, and the only thing that's protecting their body from becoming part of the surface is the helmet that is really not engineered to survive a crash with a vehicle.
Yeah, it's more for ground impact.
Right. So we are, unfortunately, the leading state for cyclist fatalities as of 2020. And it's important for us to direct you. I think there's a website that sort of gives you ideas of how to minimize your risks.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has good links, and we'll link those in the video here. And that's with the June of 2022 release, which was the 2020 data. That's how far behind this is. It takes 2 years to compile all the useful information. So there are useful links there about bike safety. Some of the information in this press release talks about things that are under your control as a cyclist. Blood alcohol content in cyclists is actually something they can measure.
Right.
And it's not always 0.0. So you shouldn't be on your bike if you're inebriated.
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, people think, well, I'm going to go to the bar or I'm going to go down the street to a friend's house and I'm not going to drive my car.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be safer that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is they end up on a bike, which is perfectly legal and responsible for them to do that. But they're now intoxicated on a bike, right?
Yep.
And they're maybe not paying as close of attention to that intersection as they otherwise would have,
Yeah.
which makes them susceptible to injury and death.
Yeah, and probably not a helmet on in that situation.
Correct.
So.
And then you have these electric bikes now that are popular. So we think these numbers are actually going to probably increase a bit because now you're introducing more speed to the equation. This website that we're going to link to this video is it's NHTSA, it looks like, and they've got a separate section on bicyclists and other cyclists, and they talk about the stats that we're speaking of today. You know, information is powerful if you use it. Ways to avoid, I would think, practically speaking, to be the victim of a situation like this is, if you're drinking at all, you probably should have a designated driver to get you from point A to point B after you've been drinking, and your bike is probably not the best way to handle that, especially if you're going a long distance where you have to traverse intersections. Maybe if you're a block away or 2 blocks away and you can do sidewalks all the way there and back, you can maybe avoid traffic. That might be good, but remember, your balance is off when you're impaired. And you could die from just falling down off your bike and hitting your head on the ground. So we have cases like that all the time where people just fall and hit their head and they end up dying from the bleed that they have in their brain. But long and short of it is, be careful on your bikes. We're in a state where it's fatalities are the leading we're the leading state for bicycle-related fatalities. So knowing that, please exercise extreme caution on the roads, as we tell you every time. People are driving or distracted. If you have questions about a bicycle versus car accident, you can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com, or you can call us at 855-HIRE-JOE. Thank you.